What's good? Hey, what's up?
Okay. Oh, Jesus. Okay.
Don't fall and knock things over. I'm wearing a white shirt, Taylor. I cannot spill this. That was a huge fear of mine that I was like getting these. I'm like, I know I'm gonna do that one thing where I drop it and just splatters all over my nice white shirt.
We put it in slow-mo.
Do I go Ioni or Annabella?
It's up to you. Whatever you want to be. You can be whatever you want to be. You can make up a fake.
This is the thing.
You're like, I'm Aria.
Hi, I'm Annabella.
I'm Taylor.
My name is...
Welcome to our ASMR channel. Hi.
Hey.
Welcome to our channel.
Welcome to our channel.
We started this channel as a book review one, and we're going to be talking about different things and books we've read, or different things that revolving around literature, going off of each other, and having fun. So I'm heart and brain. Your brain.
I am brain.
Brain. Big brain. Big brain energy.
Small brain.
Small brain.
Small smooth brain. Brain no wrinkly.
Yeah, and this is our little mascot. This is Jovi.
I'm glad we had the same mindset there when we said mascot. He also small brain.
He's small brain. He's small.
It's because his head's so little.
He's empty in there.
Little empty brain. Had a smooth, small, empty brain.
We're going to be talking about on this channel books that we've read and we've enjoyed or hated, telling our reviews, giving our thoughts. Things we agree on, disagree.
And speaking of hated, we're reviewing A Curse So Dark and Lonely.
Curse So Dark and Lonely.
I doubt this is going to show up. It's probably going to be too much of glare. What's the thing that makeup people do?
Oh yeah, they put it behind
their hand, even though it's bigger.
Yeah. So, summary of the book.
Alright. Fall in love. Break the curse. You want to read this? I don't know
Sure.
how I'm reading this.
Fall in love, break the curse. Cursed to repeat the autumn of his 18th year, Prince Ren of Emberfall thought he could be saved easily if a girl fell for him. But that was before he turned into a vicious beast and destroyed his castle, his family, and every last shred of hope. Nothing has ever been easy for Harper, with her father long gone, her mother dying, and her brother constantly underestimating her because of her cerebral palsy. When she tries to save a stranger on the streets of Washington, D.C., she's pulled into a magical world. Break the curse. Save the kingdom. Harper doesn't know where she is or what to believe. A prince? A curse?
A monster?
As she begins to understand what's at stake, Ren's hope comes flooding back. But why? She doesn't even like him.
Not him at all!
But powerful forces are standing against Emberfall, and it will take more than a broken curse to save Harper, Ren, and his people from utter ruin. Yeah, so this is a book that a lot of people loved.
Yeah.
In the book community. I've watched a lot of reviews on it, and it was very hard to find ones that were negative. Annabelle and I both read this book and thought that it was lacking in a lot of places, despite the premise being a really cool one. So
just a rundown. It's a modern fantasy romance book. It's got 484 pages, so it's pretty decently long. You can just see here. It's a thick boy.
It was a beefy book.
It's a beefy book. It's
beefy
thick.
boy.
The characters' names are Harper, Ren, Gray, and the villain's name, which I don't even remember.
Oh, it was Lilith. I looked it up.
Was
I
it
forgot.
really?
It was Lilith. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. That tells you a lot that we can't even remember the main villain's name. It was like how many pages was it?
484.
484 pages, and I couldn't even remember the villain's name a few months after I read it. But
I looked through my text last night because I was trying to figure out what was going on. I found a text where it was like, I think her name's Harper, as in the main character, who was it's first person in the entire book, and I just could not remember her name. That's how little this book remained in my brain. I think, personally, I would rate this book for 13, 14 up.
Yeah, I would too.
It wasn't
13, 14 up,
it's nothing that, it's like some minor violence, but nothing.
Yeah, it talks
bad.
a lot about,
I think I might swear.
It might swear a little bit. I don't think they drop any major profane words,
No,
but
minor.
it deals with, this isn't really a spoiler, but since it's a Beauty and the Beast retelling, Ren becomes a beast, and he obviously attacks people in a blind rage when he's the beast. So him dealing with that trauma of him, killing a lot of people, that was a little graphic, and he deals with the aftermath, the trauma of it after that, and it's a little gruesome.
There also is, in this book, disability representation. It's something I wanted to point out, that this book, the main character has cerebral palsy, which is a super, something that people don't represent a lot, so I was really surprised and excited to see this in this book.
Absolutely.
Goodreads gave this book 4.13 stars.
4.13 out of 5?
Yeah.
Really?
I gave this book 2.5.
I gave this book 2. I actually changed my rating. When I was currently reading the book, I always, like, in my head, I'm like, okay, I'm probably going to rate this, like, 3 stars on Goodreads. And I was going to. Then when I finished the book, I was like, this literally felt like it took a year off my life, so I'm taking off a star. So I rated it 2 stars. Honestly, I probably, if I were being generous, I could give it a 2.5. But it lacked so much for me.
It was funny because over time, I've started to like the book less. Even though it's been a while since I read it, I reread my Goodreads review, I looked at my rating, I looked at for our past texts. I liked it more then than I do now. I don't know if that's just because my brain isn't remembering a lot, but
when we talk about it,
the more we talk about this book, the more I don't like it, and I don't ever really see anybody saying bad things about this book.
Yeah, no, I don't either. When you read the Goodreads reviews, it's like all positive, and I'm like, I get the representation. That was
there was
huge
not
deal.
only disability rep, but there was LGBTQ rep.
Her brother. That I really enjoyed, and I thought, that representation is something we don't get a lot in literature, especially when it comes to, like, being a fantasy world.
Exactly.
So the fact that she was kind of thrown into this, like, rabbit hole of a fantasy world, and she had this, like, this thing she was dealing with, and I really enjoyed the fact, like, on the topic of it, that it didn't take away from who she was as a person. Like, it was just kind of something she dealt with, but it didn't define her as a human.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the thing I've seen a lot about her disability, is that it is something that everybody, like, somebody experiences that. It doesn't define them as a person. It's just sort of something they live with. It's just there.
Yes.
So that I totally understand. It was, like, a fantastic something to include in the book. I loved how they did that. However,
I think that it was wonderful that it was included, but it seemed like the only time, for a book that prided itself in representing things like this, it rarely talked about it. And when it did, it was like, oh, she has a limp. Once in a while when she's running, she limps a little. Like, there was nothing major. I feel like they could have made it a bigger deal, not in the fact that it would define her, but in the fact that it would cause her more, like it would alter her existence a little bit more. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the only time it was ever included that I noticed was when it was convenient.
Yes, it was a convenient thing, but I felt like
it was so Ren could help her onto her horse because she was struggling, not when she was running. It only came up in parts where it was helpful to the plot, and not when it would have actually affected her, which I think was sort of...
It should have been talked about more in the way that it wasn't just something that, like, would help develop her love interest.
And the thing about, yeah, exactly. And the thing about, like, writing disabilities is that, like, I was super excited to hear that she had cerebral palsy, because most people that are disabled in books are like, oh, it's this blind monk who has a staff, but basically can see through his feet through the ground, and he's barely hindered at all. And I was like, finally, a character that shows, like, what life is with a disability. And it wasn't. Yeah, and I don't have a disability, so I can't fully say I know this isn't how it is.
I felt like it could have been done better. I'm glad it was included, but I felt like it could have been included in a better way. But let's talk about things that we liked about the book.
So obviously, disability rep, I just love that in general. Like, that's something that should be in more books everywhere. And not just, oh, blind monk, or, oh, person that has scars, but no hindrance to their body whatsoever because of phantom limp.
She was like a normal girl, and it was fun, that not fun, but you know what I mean? Like, it was
like... It was interesting to see a real person with something like that, so I loved that they included it.
Yes. I loved that it took place in a fantasy world, but the protagonist was modern. So, like, the idea that Grey kind of, even though it was a little problematic that, like, the whole Grey and Ren situation, their tactic was to just steal girls off the street and be like, okay, you have to fall in love with Prince Ren now. So yeah, the fact that Grey kind of, there was like this rabbit hole effect where like Grey kind of like took Harper and then they went into this fantasy world, but she was still modern, had like a cell phone. I loved that, and I really liked that she reacted how I feel like most girls would react.
Oh yeah.
Because if I was stolen off the street and like
by a random man that you saw trying to kidnap a girl before,
and then you wake up and you're like, where am I? And they're like, you're in Emberfall. It's a kingdom. I'd be like, what? Like,
I would grab the nearest object and throw it.
And like, she tried to beat him, didn't she? With
which is very accurate.
It is so
that's exactly
accurate.
What you would do. To know.
So I loved it. It was realistic.
Yeah,
loved that.
It wasn't like pretty fantasy man takes me from the street, but he's so pretty I don't mind. No, it was like, I don't like this. I'm going to hit you with a pipe. One thing I did like was that Harper sort of looked around the kingdom and was like, this is sort of shitty. You're not taking care of your people. He was like, it's no longer my responsibility. And she's like, aren't you the prince? And
Yeah.
he's like, yeah.
And he's
And
like,
she's like,
yeah.
she's
The
like,
part that
"Whoa,
really
yeah."
pissed me off was when she was like, I'm taking food to the people that are starving. And he's like, oh, but then all of them will want food. And she's like, yeah, because they're starving. Prince Ren was a really terrible leader.
Not good as
I didn't
well.
like him at all.
No, he was a very boring
I thought I was gonna
character.
fall in love with him because that's like my type, and like I like the
He was not
princely
your
like.
type, though.
He
the
was- I thought he
opposite.
was.
You could have.
And then I read it and I'm like, what?
Okay.
Yeah.
Ren is boring. Yes.
Yeah, Ren's
However,
super
he
boring.
isn't the very typical dark brooding prince.
Yeah.
He is brooding and a prince. But he's not like the approach, like he's brooding because he's sad. But I sort of appreciated a change from the typical like, I'm evil. You can't be near me. And
Yeah.
like,
He was a
really,
little like that.
a little bit, but he
at
wasn't.
times,
It
but
wasn't
that wasn't
fully.
his-
He was very soft. He was soft boy. He was an
Soft
boy.
boy. Yeah.
Little ooh.
Yeah. I like that Ren showed weakness.
Yeah.
The way him and Lilith interacted, Lilith being the main villain, he was petrified of her.
Yes.
I thought that was cool
awesome.
because I was like, he stood up to her, but every
Yeah,
time
yeah.
he did, she'd beat him to a pulp, or she'd like hurt him really bad, and then he'd be like and she would haunt his dreams.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that was really cool that he was able to show weakness because all the characters, even though they had like that badass quality,
Yeah.
they all had that little soft spot to them. And Ren's was the main female villain, and I did like that there was a female villain.
Yeah,
That
good.
was an interesting thing, even though she was a little not memorable. I liked Gray.
Yeah.
I liked that Harper had chemistry with Gray.
With Ray, yeah.
But it wasn't enough to qualify as like a love triangle because Harper and Gray like didn't have enough to like push it,
It was
as a
so
relationship.
close.
It was so close. That one part when they were playing cards and Ren was like, God, I wish that were me. I did like the fact they had really cool world building. So Brigid did a really great
was my
job
next
at
thing.
crafting Emberfall,
Yeah.
which is something I wasn't expecting. Because I didn't love this book, but I will appreciate a good world build when I see it.
I do too.
I
And this
appreciate
actually
it.
had a very good world building.
Yeah. Premise of the season was reset after every failure
Yeah.
Prince Ren had. So like every time the girl didn't fall in love with him by the end, it would just reset. That was really cool, and I can imagine how terrible that must be for Ren and Gray.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're constantly like, well, there's another one that doesn't love you. Next one. Now it's like this constant rejection that he's facing.
Oh my god, yeah.
And like over and over, and he's got to like put on this like romantic facade that he doesn't really mean.
care,
He's
yeah.
like, yeah, you're hot.
Whatever.
Want to
Yeah.
dance and drink wine?
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, haha. And then they don't fall in love with him.
Yeah.
I said that Harper at times was a relatable character. Not
At
always.
times. No,
at
not always.
times.
Not even close to
Because,
always,
like
but-
I said, the way she reacted when she first got there, her wanting to like run away, her being like scared and didn't know where she was and lost in Emberfall, she like was like really, she felt very alone.
That was very accurate.
That was accurate, and I felt that she did a good job with that. That ended pretty quickly for me in terms of relating to her, but we'll get to that later.
in general.
I really liked that there was different point of views between Prince Ren and Harper, because I felt like that really gave us like we couldn't really hate the other side because we pitied both.
Yeah,
because Prince
exactly.
Ren was dealing with really bad trauma, and he was like, man, this is my last season, like I really need Harper to fall in love with me. And Harper was like, I want to go home, I don't want to be here, I don't like Prince Ren. Like that opposing I really like that. So I thought that was really well done.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah. And so what was like the thing that you liked most about it?
So Ren's backstory and his curse, the fact that he killed his entire family
Yeah.
as a monster, like that is insane.
Yeah.
It took this flowery world that we were just being crafted and everything was sort of pretty and there wasn't many people in it, but it was just everything was nice, and it was like, oh yeah, I murdered my entire family as a beast. Here's my dead sister's room. You can stay here for a bit.
He's like, oh yeah, you do like my sister's room? She's like, yeah, it's really nice. He's like, yeah, she died.
Died.
I killed her.
her. Harper was just so unwilling to fall for him
Yeah.
in such a way that was so realistic.
She even said she was like, I'm not gonna fall in love with you. Like,
And then, like,
right at the beginning.
And we know
And he
what
was like-
we knew what was gonna happen, but like
he was like, dope.
it was so typical heroine who's put in this world and she's like, but she's actually like rejecting it all and she's not accepting it, and then she accepts it, and then she accepts it, and then she accepts it, and it was like, come on.
Yeah.
It was so good.
It was
You
like
had
her
such a
character
good-
development was like,
It was like, it was really high, and then it just tanked, and it was
Yeah.
like, I'm just gonna plunge myself into the ocean.
I mean, are we going into things we dislike now?
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like that's where we're heading. So, on the topic of that, I could not wrap my head around Harper and Prince Ren together. I didn't care about their... They
didn't have any chemistry.
None.
Like, at all.
There was, like, the one scene where they danced. I was like, okay.
They danced?
Yeah.
I remember the bow and arrow scene.
I didn't remember that. I love romance. That's the only... I really only read books for romances.
Pretty much only reads romance.
I love romance. I could not... I think maybe that's why I disliked the book so much, because Ren and Harper had literally no chemistry. Mm-hmm. None. So I was reading it and being like, oh god. Another page where she's like, you know, they're like yelling at each other. And I mean, it's enemies to lovers.
That's it. They would yell at each other and then kiss. And I'm
yeah.
like...
Yeah.
You were just arguing. And it wasn't like sexual tension arguing. It was literally just, I don't like you arguing. And then it was... Everything's fine.
It'd be different if he, like, had her up against the wall with, like, the hand. And, like, there was, like, that tension, but they hated each other.
Yeah, they didn't
like
each
it,
other.
Though. He literally was like, yeah, I mean, you're annoying and, you know, headstrong. And she's like, you're stupid.
Yeah, and then, it wasn't, like, and it didn't have any sexual tension.
None.
And that's why it didn't make any sense. I'm reading this and I'm going, okay, they're probably going to stop talking to each other for the next 3 chapters, because you know how that works. And no, and they were fine.
On the topic of, like, of Harper,
mm-hmm.
I appreciate the fact that she was like different than the girls that had been before the cycle. Like she wasn't like super keen on falling in love with him. I thought that was cool.
Yes.
But the fact that she wasn't like other girls.
Oh my god.
I was like
constantly. I just
hated that.
So annoying.
Even and Ren was always like, oh, she's different.
I say this frequently. Reading this book felt like reading a bad fanfiction.
Yeah, it totally did. It felt like a Wattpad fanfiction. Oh, this is another thing I can't stand. I mentioned this to you before. I get that she doesn't want to stay in Emberfall. I get that she doesn't like the world. And she wants to go home. Mm-hmm. Totally understand that. But if I was thrown into this mythical land that I knew nothing about, there's no, like, I can't use my cell phone. I literally am thrown into, I don't know where I am, don't know how to deal with it. It's like that
being in medieval times.
Being in medieval times. Yeah. I would never have that way of thinking where I'm like, I know way more than you do, even though it's your own kingdom. Like with Ren, she just tried to go out and venture out and do things on her own. It's like, girlfriend, you don't even know where you are right now. Yeah. You don't even, like, she's from Washington, D.C., and she's thrown into this medieval land, and she's like, I know everything. I'm just going to do my own thing. Yeah. You
cannot just do Washington, D.C. stuff in Emberfall.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't, like,
I hated it. She had this, like, way about her where she's like, I know more than you do, even though it's your own kingdom.
I'm 16. I have a limp.
Was she 16?
I think she's really young, yeah, right? 16 or 17, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I forgot
so she's
about
a child. She's literally a child.
Yeah.
She is
It's not
disabled.
her world. Yeah.
She's in a different world, and she's alone. And she's like, I can ride a horse. It's like, you can't get on the horse by yourself, though. Yeah. And you think you're just going to go out there and be like...
That was just... It was irritating for me because I know... I mean, I don't know about you, but I know if I was thrown into Emberfall, I would be, like, scared shitless. And I'd be like, I don't know where I am or what to do. I mentioned I loved that Lilith was the main female villain and she was a woman. I love that. But I didn't like that. I almost felt like Brigid branded her as a stereotypical, sexy, psychotic villain.
Yeah.
Because her backstory was that she tried to sleep with Ren and he rejected her.
No,
right?
I think they did sleep
with her. They did. And then he pushed her away.
Like, no, and then she was like, how dare you? And then she like tore apart.
So her only motive, I'm pretty sure, is that she always tells Ren, like, if you just love me, like, you just want to be with me. That's so overdone and stupid. Like, the fact that she was like...
Especially from a woman doing it.
Oh, it was so annoying. If it was a guy, that would be really cool. Like, if it was, like, a guy villain that was, like, had the same kind of idea. No, I meant more from Brigid doing this. Oh.
Very strong, like, characters physically, mentally, emotionally, but the characters themselves. This is the basic female villain side. This is the basic female heroine side. Like, it wasn't, like...
Yeah. It was very, like...
Besides Harper's disability... The characters were unbelievably basic.
Yeah.
Unbelievably.
And, like, I appreciate, like, because in the original Beauty and the Beast story, the sorceress was, like, she was a good person. Like, she was, like, you know, she wanted to do it to teach a lesson. And I guess so did Lilith, but it just, I don't know. She had, like, sexual urges behind all of her actions. Like, she only did it because she wanted Ren to be with her, which I thought was kind of annoying. And I'm like, obviously, for like, Ren? Yeah. You're doing this for Ren. Like.
And maybe I misread it, and maybe it was more because she wanted the throne. And that I would totally understand.
Maybe.
But it didn't seem like that. It seemed like she wanted it for Ren, who was this 18-year-old little...
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So yeah, I felt like she was a little like stereotypical.
Yeah.
I thought that was a little annoying.
Yeah, she felt forced, I put. Speaking of forced, Gray's reveal at the end. Oh my god. Talk about forced. Holy crap.
I literally, at the end, I remember I was reading it outside, and I literally was like, I read the thing with Gray and him being the prince. I was like, I started reading again. Because it was like, are you joking?
Yeah.
Like, that was such a, it was like a, oh, by the way, here's information.
Yeah.
Here you go. And I was like,
there was, the part I hated most about that, there was, like, no lead up to it.
no, it was just a bomb that dropped at the end.
She should have led up to it.
Yeah.
There should have, I don't remember if there was any
like,
hint throughout the book that there was, like, there was another prince that was hidden, like, stuff like that. If there was, better. Still not great, though, because it didn't make any sense. It was just sort of like a, oh, hey, Gray's more important than you think. I was like, he was the best character already. Now you sort of like, actually, I think it sort of ruined him.
It did, because I love that he was like the lovable little rogue, like,
yeah, like he was such an
bodyguard.
Yeah,
and now he's the prince. Also, the fact that he knew the whole time. He did, right? He knew the whole time. I know, maybe he didn't.
He knew, or he had a hunch. I think it was something like that, and I didn't like.
It was
that
just
either.
stupid, and I hated it was just like a bomb at the end, because I was expecting a plot twist, but I expected that one. I literally, the chapter leading up to, I go, I bet Gray's his brother. Like, I had a feeling.
I didn't expect it, because I try not to think about stuff like that when I read. I don't want to spoil it for myself, but also, like, it was so dumb.
Yeah.
And I...
Yeah.
Come in.
Hi.
Just want to check in.
Just love you.
That was her father.
That was my dad.
We're talking about something and I forgot. Oh, Gray.
Yeah.
So, like, that was just, it just...
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to edit that.
But yeah, I thought that was, it was very forced, but what?
Did her mom just die? Didn't her mom die and they were like, oh no. And then they just left that and that wasn't...
die.
And that wasn't even like...
I didn't remember that.
Like...
Her mom did die.
Her mom died.
She had cancer.
And then they were just like, oh no, mom. Anyways, Ember falls in trouble.
Yeah, anyway.
They have to go back.
Oh, she passed away.
That's it. And she's like, bye. That's your mother.
Yeah, she I think she like cried for a hot minute and then she's like, all right.
I gotta get back to Emberfall. And Jake's like, what the is Emberfall?
Yeah. That was cool. The fact that Jake and his boyfriend went into Emberfall, they're like,
what is going on?
In conclusion, this book was in itself a curse. Not my favorite.
No. It's
Would you recommend it to anyone?
People who like bad fan fictions, this is your book.
Yeah, if you like slow burn that's unfulfilling at the end,
with characters that are not that interesting,
and
a plot
that's that's
sort of in the background of something that it should be the foreground of, with minor adventure and not good romance, and a really great world. World's fantastic,
but
everything else is lacking.
Then you should read it.
Yeah, you'll love this book.
Book not great. Would I recommend it? No. Am I glad I read it though? No. So, yeah, wasn't my fave. 2 out of 5 stars for both of us.
Yeah, it's like 2.5 for me.
Yeah.
I don't want to like bash on the book too much because I understand how hard it is to write your book and publish. Like, I give her full credit for being able to do that to begin with.
Yeah. And she did a great job of crafting the world. There were a lot of good points to it we covered.
And obviously, people like the book. We are very much so the outlier in this situation, so I'm not going to say that we're right.
That's why we wanted to make the video, too.
Yeah, exactly, because we're the outliers in this situation. Very obviously, people like this book. Props to her for even doing what she did.
No, absolutely. I totally agree with you. I think that she did a great job writing the book. It wasn't my cup of tea. And it wasn't your cup of tea. But I respect it, Crinkle. Oh, I have water over here for that.
ASMR, continuing. Ooh, those are some big spikes. Oh, look at that spike!
Ready?
Look at that in sync. Nice.
Alright, on that note, we are going to say goodbye for now, and thank you for watching us. Oh, I'm sorry.
You killed him! How dare you!
Thank you for watching our little shit show. And we will certainly be back with another book review shortly, or other videos involving literature. Yeah.
Thank
So-
you everybody so much for watching. Please like the video, subscribe, ring that bell.
Yeah. And if you know us in real life, no, you don't. No, you don't.
Yeah, so this has been Brain and Heart.
Yeah, Brain Heart. See you next time.